Greetings from the Fredericktown homestead. We're attempting to get the fire lit for the second day of smoking here. We've got what we want, I guess, a nice smoldering fire. I went down to the corner and grabbed an apple tree. It's on the land here that we rent. And this was a broken off stub that had a bunch of leaders that were still alive, so it's still a green apple. There were quite a few red apples around it, so it's a red-green apple tree, or green-red apple tree. The saw worked famously. That saw is from, what year would that be? That would have been 1987. That's a 266 from 87. Has a heated rear handle and metal. It's quite an antique, but it was around the mill when we had the sawmill. It was our mill saw for cutoffs and that. And when Doug died of the Lyme disease, I went back to New Hampshire and picked up my saw. It's got my name engraved on the side, my old phone number for when I used to live in New Hampshire. No area code. We didn't have area codes back then. Yeah, we're smoking, smoldering. The weather is not cooperating. It's you can't complain about a day like today, but it's too warm for smoking. When this fire goes out today, we'll have to take the meat out and deal with it. The bacon we'll put in the freezer for a time, get it nice and cold before we slice it. Bacon that's really cold slices nicely. And the loins, we had loin last night, not smoked, but just right out of the brine. And oh, that was delicious. It tasted like ham, the texture of ham. Very nice indeed. Very, very nice. Unfortunately, I had a trip to Columbus, so I not only missed dinner, but my customer wanted to stop and get Chinese. He knew that he had somebody that could translate for him. I've been to China and understand the Chinese menu. I also eat often at American Chinese places, so I understand what they offer. And we had Sichuan shrimp, hot and spicy. Then when I got home, I had to eat the loin. It was just so good. Ham. It was like a ham loin, is what it was. Been soaked, but not smoked. It was excellent, I must say, excellent. The stove is giving us a little bit of a challenge to get going. I can use my saw like a venturi. If I blow the exhaust in the direction of the firebox, the blowing exhaust picks up a lot of fresh air, and you're not only blowing exhaust in the firebox, but 80% of what you're blowing in there is fresh air, and that blowing will we got all the ingredients there. We got the heat, we got the fuel, dry fuel, and we got some oxygen. But if we force the oxygen, increase the oxygen, that will ignite it into a flame. And see, I got all these green chunks here, green apple chunks that will just smolder, but they need a good hot bed of coals to smolder. They'll just go out if they, because they are green. They got all the sap in them, and that's the way Archie Morse would smoke his meat. He'd cut little rounds like that of firewood, of apple wood, green apple, he called it, from a green tree, and put that on the coals of the apples, of the corn cobs, and that was how he created his smoke for his smoker. So that's what we're trying to do here. Archie Morse was born in 1896. You know, every time Archie was introduced to anybody, he'd say, "My name is Archie Morse. I was born in 1896." And I've kind of taken on that custom with him. Whenever I mention him, I mentioned that he was born in 1896. It's a large part of who he was and what he did and what he knew and what he was willing to teach. Well, look at that smoke coming up out of that chimney. That looks really nice. I'm a bit hesitant to blow on that. I got 11 o'clock pickup. That'll last the rest of the day. One of my customers has church at his house, not only this week, but in 2 weeks' time as well, because he missed one, so he's got to make it up. And having it twice in a row is kind of good, kind of bad. You get to clean up once for twice, but and when you go grocery shopping, you can buy big bulk for the dry goods, and we're going shopping. We'll go to Aldi's and Walmart and that red one, CFI or whatever it's called. I'm not sure. We'll go to all three of the big produce and not produce, grocery places. When you have church at your house, you entertain everybody after church with a meal that you cooked on Saturday with your relatives, probably, and then in the evening, all the youth, you got a 1 in 3 chance that all the youth will gather at your place for a singing. And 3 different churches get together, and the singings revolve amongst the 3, and they also scramble that somewhat so that you're not always going to a singing with the same people, because that's the dating system for the youth. And but he has one singing either this Sunday or in 2 weeks, I'm not sure, but he'll have one of the other. And for them, you got to cook them, you got to provide them with cheese trays and salami trays, and he's trying to shoot a deer so that he can have deer bologna for them, deer and pork mixed. And yeah, that's what I'm doing today. I pick him up at 11, but I'd like to get this thing so it's burning coals before I go. I think I'll blow on it with my Venturi off my exhaust on my saw. See if that works. We're not going to be able to close the door for a little while. I put some dry apple in there. You see that apple log in there? Can you see that? There's one apple log in there, and that's from a dead piece of the tree. The place where the top had broken out, and there was some dead wood. So I put that in there, hoping to create some coals. But we have smoke. That's what we're looking for, is smoke. We got smoke. It's not all the ingredients we want. We got some wood chips in there, hardwood chips. They'll make it a little bit bitter. But by and large, it's corn cobs and apple. Got a lot of these apple cut up with nippers from yesterday. That's in there too. Now it's smoldering away. Takes quite a bit of air. I think I'll give it some more air. Well, if you haven't subscribed, I hope you'll subscribe. We're in the 650 range of subscribers right now. We'd like to get more. We'd like to get 1,000. I'd like to get a check from YouTube, even if it's only for a nickel. I've done a lot for Google over time. If you look on Google Earth in your neighborhood, I'll bet you can find one of my pictures, depending on where you live. If you live in the United States, I'll bet you can find one of my pictures within 50 miles of your home. Google Earth molded into Google Maps now. Google Earth no longer accepts pictures. I don't take pictures for Google anymore so much, but I do post on YouTube daily. Every day we post, and sure would like to get a check. I put 5 million pictures on Google Earth through Panoramio, and never got a nickel for that. I'd like for YouTube to come through for us, maybe. I watch several channels, and they've all got tractors, most all of them. Most of them came either from the revenue from YouTube or from sponsorships because of their YouTube. So for that reason, partly, also just because I'm the way I am, I post daily, and have over 1,500 posts on Fredericktown Homestead, and I have another channel, JB Brown, that it's kind of competing with the Fredericktown Homestead for amount of subscribers. It's about 40 behind right now, but it has been in the lead in the past. And yeah, subscribe. You never know what you're going to find. We're smoking this morning. Smoked yesterday. I travel quite a bit, so you might get something from far away. I guess what I'm saying is you ought to subscribe. Alright, God bless.